Hello, welcome to the Daily Politics. And the Queen guitarist Brian May is on a mission to save democracy. He'll be joining us later in the programme. Now, the Queen guitarist Brian May is on a mission to save British democracy. I wish him the best of luck. Not satisfied with just trying to save the plight of badgers and foxes, he launched his Common Decency campaign at a special event in London this morning. The idea behind it is to encourage more people to vote in the upcoming election, and particularly vote for individual MPs who are free-thinking and not part of the party machine and whipped to vote against their true beliefs. Brian May says he wants to get rid of the current government and install a parliament of MPs who are more representative of the people who vote for them. Well, in December, the Electoral Commission said almost 1 million people had fallen off the electoral register last year, and they've launched a new campaign to get people to register to vote before the 20th of April deadline. Remember that, the 20th of April? Here's their latest TV advert.
There you go, love.
Oh, lovely. Thanks very much.
Oh, you can't have ketchup.
What do you mean?
You can't.
I'm sorry, excuse me, you can't use the basket?
What's that?
But these girls just ran through, so I don't understand.
Some people can come in, some people can't.
Is he joking?
Absolute nonsense.
I know.
You have to find an alternative route
No,
up.
I don't want to. If he's going up, I want to go up.
He's allowed to go up.
Why?
None of us like to be told we can't do something. It's the same for the general election.
Sorry.
If you're not registered, you can't vote. Register online by the 20th of April.
We're joined now by former Queen guitarist and now head of the Common Decency campaign, Brian May, and also here is Alex Robertson from the Electoral Commission. Welcome to both of you. Just briefly on that advert, it's pretty negative. It's sort of instilling fear. It's not a positive sort of go and vote or register to vote, I should say.
It's very much focused on getting people registered to vote, and it uses a concept from behavioural economics. We thought very carefully about how to do this. People are more likely to respond to advertising which tells them that they're going to lose something, that they're going to gain something. So rather than if you're registered, you need to be registered so you can vote. If you aren't registered, you can't vote. We've had a very good response to the campaign since it launched last Monday. The key thing is people may not realise they need to be registered or not know how to go about it. So the advertising, it's great that you showed that. The website, it's very easy. It only takes a few minutes. If I'd been doing this a year ago, I'd have told you to fill in a paper form and send it off. How terribly inconvenient is that? It's much, much easier now, and very, very important that people do it.
What do you think of it, Brian May, just watching it?
I'm absolutely for it. I found it was very positive, actually.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because my belief is that people should vote, and I think I really identify with people who are at the moment called apathetic, because you look at a safe seat, if you happen to live in a place that is so-called safe seat, and you think, why should I bother to vote? What difference can it possibly make? And this is the attitude I had 5 years ago. I don't have it now. I think everyone has to get up and vote. Can I show you my pie chart?
Yes, you can.
This is what convinces people, I think. This is a typical constituency, which is called a safe seat. This is not a marginal. So this chap obviously happens to be blue. You know, he's the guy who won the seat last time.
On 37%.
37%. These guys are the under, you know, the followers who didn't manage to get in. This huge sector here represents all the people who didn't vote. So simple maths will tell you, if all these people get behind one of these guys because they've decided that they're a very decent candidate, they can overthrow this blue guy. You know, I'm politically colourblind, you know, I should tell you that, you know, and to me it's very important to realise that there are good candidates in every party, and we know some very good candidates.
Well, and then your campaign, I mean, if you don't mind me saying, it feels a bit nebulous in the sense common decency. You hope that that's sort of relevant for all the parties and the candidates that they are putting forward. So how do you define it? How would you define common decency?
It's not nebulous if you go to the website. You know, I think what we're trying to do is build up a picture of what our followers regard as common decency. So we're not dictating to people. We're saying, what do you think is common decency? And look at your candidates and tell us which of those guys you think will represent you decently and be honest and vote for their conscience, rather than being whipped into vote according to what the party tells them to vote.
But if you want to get rid of the current government, that implies that you think Labour, or certainly Labour candidates, are more decent.
No, it doesn't.
No.
No, we're going to encourage people to look at the individual rather than the party. As I say, colourblind politics. Don't look at the party. Look at and see if this guy that you're going to vote for is going to truly represent you in Parliament, is going to be honest, and will vote according to his conscience rather than a career move.
Right. I mean, it's interesting that actually this latest batch of MPs from the 2010 intake have been an extremely rebellious intake. They have, if you like, voted with their conscience. They have rebelled against the party managers, the party whips. So it's going in your direction if that's what you want to see.
Strangely enough, I think it is. I think we're amplifying a trend which is there, and I think there is an erosion of the major parties being able to bully people into pushing legislation through.
Right, well...
My argument from this is no vote is wasted. If all these people get up off their ass and vote, no vote is wasted and no seat is safe.
Right, well, taking that, if we look at that pie chart, and as Brian May said, if all that 32% of people who chose not to vote voted for minor parties, it could change what happened in that seat. Are we not going to see a bit more of that happening in this election because we've got parties, to some extent, having surged in popularity? The Greens, UKIP, SNP, all of these parties could actually change the whole map of the election.
So there's going to be a confused outcome of the election one way or the other. It's fascinating for political people to watch it. What the result will be, nobody knows. What I like about this campaign is two things. One, it's about generosity and decency and about not just flinging insults to each other. I think introducing that into politics is great. And the other thing is it challenges the hegemony of these great established political parties, which, frankly, you know, they rest on this 19th century political industrial dispute between capital and labour. Doesn't mean anything to anybody anymore. Right. And if we could pursue the actual characters of individuals, we get back to a House of Commons where people form parties, form alliances based on the interests, on the issues that matter, and we could have a far more invigorated democracy. The related point is to get politics and power back to the local people more, and we have a far too centralised system. We need to empower local communities to have more control over what happens to them.
Right, but of course you do, as you say, have to have people registering. The Electoral Commission, yes, I put to you, has failed and is a deeply unaccountable institution and needs to be completely removed and replaced. What do you say to Nigel Farage?
I obviously don't agree with that. I mean, what we're doing with our campaign and have been doing for months, and not just us, lots of organisations right across the country and in local communities have been getting out there, getting people registered to vote, and the drive is on now.
Right,
the deadline's down the 20th of April.
But the electoral register has shrunk, hasn't it?
So perhaps I can explain what's happened. So I think you're referring to the size of the electoral register on the 1st of December, where you're right, there was a reduction in the size of the electoral register. Since then, I think significantly more than 2 million people have applied to register to vote. A lot of activities happened at a local level. Every household in the country will have received a letter saying all these people are registered to vote. Is anyone missing? There's lots of work we've been doing with the National Union of Students.
Right, but that's the particular problem, though, isn't it, Alex Robertson? Because, you know, almost 1 million people, many of them young people and students, have disappeared from the register in the last year, partly because of changes. And that could give, or put Labour particularly at a disadvantage.
I mean, so there was a particular issue around students that under the old household system, which is a very outdated system. We were pretty much the only country in the world, apart from Zimbabwe, which incredibly registered people by household rather than individually. With students, if you're registering en bloc in universities, under the old system, you could have registered people by halls of residence. Under the new system, you have to register people individually. Broadly, we think that's a good thing, but the important thing is that you then get to those students individually.
Yeah, but the point
is the activity that's
you're not going to manage it, are you, for this election, it sounds like?
Well, let's see. I mean, we've got 3 or 4 weeks. As I said, a lot of stuff happened since the 1st of December. A lot of people applied to register to vote, and actually through organisations like Brian's and through other people who are getting people engaged in politics, saying it's important to vote. Well, none of that works if people aren't registered, and there's 3 or 4 weeks to really have that final drive.
Is it true that you thought of standing as an independent MP?
For a very short time. I think I can do a lot more good as an activist. I don't want to be aligned with any particular party. I want to enable the next Parliament to be full of great individuals who will be able to actually discuss things, as you said.
But what put you off? You said you thought about it for a short term. What changed your mind?
Well,
I mean, you would have been an independent, as you say.
No, I would rather not. I would rather have my relationship with the good people in all the parties. And we know some great people, and we're endorsing MPs in all the major parties and some of the minor parties as well. I would rather have that relationship and just be someone who can enable other people to make the changes we need.
Thank you, both of you. Enjoy the election. Register if you haven't done so already.
Please register.